live to the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series, season number 4, race from Kentucky. And the season, of course, was officially underway last week in the Daytona 500, but tonight it's the first real normal, I guess you can say normal race of the season. It is Kentucky here in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series, and we welcome you live for race 2 of the season. We're back here once again in season number 4. This is the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series, and we're joined here once again. So, of course, the Xfinity Series was at USA Speedway a night ago. So that was won by Cup Series driver Cameron Chandler. So he's going to be looking to go back-to-back and sweep the week here tonight. We'll see what he can do overall, or can somebody else get the victory? Of course, in the Daytona 500 a week ago, it was the number 12 Cole Wilson getting the victory, your part-time series driver. And it was a big upset. Cole Wilson, who's full-time in the Xfinity Series, got the win last week in the Daytona 500. All right, so once again, this is the Kentucky. It's the second race of the season. Last season, it was race number 17 on the year, so moved up a whole lot further. And of course, like we mentioned earlier, no Xfinity Series race this season, as the Xfinity Series is at USA Speedway this week, and the race wrapped up last night. So it's the first Thursday night broadcast. We'll have 24 more of these, or 23 more of these after tonight. Of course, the Charlotte 600 this season is on a Thursday as well, so the Daytona 500 is the only one that's not like that on a Saturday. All right, car is going to be on track for the warm-up session here at Kentucky in just a few moments. Of course, the second race of the Cup Series season here tonight from Kentucky Speedway. Cars on the racetrack here from Kentucky. We'll be live in about 30 seconds. With on-track action, the warm-up session from Kentucky Speedway. As we'll be live here once again in about a couple of seconds' time. All right. Having one more technical difficulty, hopefully last one before we go green, or get back underway here tonight. And we're live. Welcome live to the NASCAR iRacing FedEx. Oh my God. What a way to enter. Oh, and we got one flip and it's the center.
Oh
Jesus. Wow, that was a bit of a wreck to start us off, but we're live in Kentucky. It is race number 2 of the Cup Series season, and cars are on track for the warm-up session from Kentucky Speedway. So rolling down the front straightaway goes the 50 of Connor Havrilla. He had a strong run in Daytona, had good speed. Unfortunately, that was the end of it, because then he was involved in a wreck and ultimately did not get the finish he wanted. Because we're having more issues here, unfortunately, with our... Okay. All right, there we go. Don't know what it was doing, but should be all good once again. As cars will pull back on to the racetrack. There is the 70. Trenton Wilkinen is second for full-time Cup Series season here tonight. As he runs down the front straightaway. And into turn number 1. There's the 71 of Cole Clausen, of course, your Season 2 Cup Series champion, heading down the back straightaway. off turn 4 he goes, rolling down the front stretch. So, of course, unfortunately having more internet issues. It's been awful lately with that, so definitely do apologize. As we're back live here from Kentucky. All right, so back into 1 and 2 goes that 71 of Cole Clausen. There he is, and rolling on the racetrack, that is the 79 of Ashton Miller. Then he got that 81. On the front straightaway he goes. That is Hilkwich in the 81 machine. Sean Hilkwich in the making his, of course, in his rookie campaign for the Cup Series. It's down into 1 and 2 he goes. On the back straightaway, you can see here is Logan Giesbrett re-up to speed. And then he had a Cameron Chandler on the bumper of the 96 of Andrew Stacy. There is Dylan Banks in the 48 heading down the front straightaway. Your defending Cup Series champion. Of course, had 3 wins on the season a year ago. And of course, ultimately ended up with the main prize, the Cup Series title, as he's saving the race car as Matthew White slams the wall behind him in the 7. New paint scheme looks like Cameron Chandler's. Here tonight for Matthew White. Just down the back stretch they go into turns 3 and 4. They get Haverilla coming out pit road, the 48 of Banks down the front straightaway. There's Braden Hunsaker down to the 1 and 2. There is the 36 of William Reagan, currently on track. So still early days in the warm-up session here from Kentucky. Reagan makes his way through turns 3 and 4 and going to be heading down the front stretch. He's back down into 1 and 2 he goes. Down the back stretch goes that 77 of Braden Hunsaker. One car in the wall back there, that was the 12 of Trenton Wilkin. He slams the wall once again for that number 12. So far it's Matthew White, top of the board. Cole Clausen is P2. So a good start here on the day for that number 71 of Cole Clausen. Hard on the wall goes that 77 of Braden Hunsaker. And he takes a big shot. There's the 50 of Haverilla, going to be heading down the front stretch. Of course, the first Thursday night broadcast of Season 4. Once again, down the front straightaway goes that 50 of Connor Havrilla. On pit road, there is the number 9 of Bryce Benton, as you can see him rolling back off of pit road. Once again. Here's the 97, that is Gary Smith. Teammates to Ashton Miller and the number 72 of Connor Asbell. And the 1 and 2 they go. He's coming to the outside. There is Payson Lindsay in the 90, or the 99, I should say. Hard on the wall back there. That is the 50 of Connor Havrilla. There's the 7 of Matthew White going for a bit of a slide. Here's the wall he goes. Here is Cole Clausen in the 71 down the front stretch.
Oh my God.
Upside down goes that 71 of Cole Clausen. As we're having some audio issues because it seems like nothing can work tonight and throughout this whole week. So we're going to have to try to figure that out once again. For some reason, we're not allowed to have a broadcast go well.
Hey, Cole Clausen.
Oh my god. I don't even know what to say. That was just disgusting.
How do we feel after that one?
Yeah, I don't think I'm making the race anymore. I have a permanent concussion.
I think you have more than a permanent concussion. I think you have a permanent, like, brain failure.
Yeah, what's 2 plus 2 again? 3?
It's Ethan Trendler's cars. I think he has forward. I don't know. I can't tell anymore.
Alright, so we're still having audio issues for whatever reason. There's no reason at all. I don't really understand why they're happening. So everything on my end's okay. But, can't seem to have anything work, apparently. So we'll be right back from Kentucky in just a few moments. So yeah, we apologize for all these issues going on so far tonight. Alright, back live here once again. And connection, I think, is still terrible for whatever reason. Yes. I really don't understand what's going on with their connection at all, but it's really getting on my nerves, and hopefully 15 minutes to go here. Hopefully it somehow sorts itself out. As we got a big wreck here down in the 1 and 2. Hard on the wall goes at 71 at Cole Clausen. There's Lucas Lewis down the back stretch into 3 and 4. Back live here once again. It's still cutting out. It's only on the this makes no sense. I don't really understand how everything is fine on my end, but for some reason on the broadcast it's cutting out. Like, how does that make any sense? It's completely stupid. Somehow it's the audio connection that it makes no sense. I really don't understand how that's possible. There's the 36 of William Reagan, hard in the wall, and upside down he goes. Here's this 53 of Matt Grab on the back straightaway. So it seems a little better now for whatever reason. I don't really know what I changed, but okay. Hopefully it just stays like that and we can stop the issues here tonight. We only have 13 minutes to go in the warm-up session. Here's the 97 of Gary Smith. So we've been a little bit distracted as of late. Let's take a look at the top 10 so far. Of course, it's Bryce Benton, or Matthew White top of the board, Bryce Benton, Dylan Banks, Hughes, Clausen, Smith, Haverilla, Wilkin, Hunsicker, and Reagan. The top drivers. Through 3 and 4 goes Smith. And down the front stretch he goes. It's about 12 minutes to go in the warm-up session. All right, so as we see here with Dylan Banks in the 48, he currently now goes to third on the board. So top 10 are all separated by less than a tenth of a second, so it's very close at the front of the field on speed. So you see Cameron Chandler rolling down the front straightaway. I don't really, okay. I don't know what that was, but okay. Oh, big wreck on the back straightaway. It's William Reagan, and now he gets slammed by the 99 of Payson Lindsay, the 9 of Bryce Benton involved, the 12 of Trenton Wilkin has some damage as well. The 8 of Cameron Chandler up the racetrack. All right. Just one quick second. Back live here once again. Back here live once again in Kentucky. So about 9 minutes, about 10 minutes to go here in the warm-up session. Of course, coming up next, the 2-lap qualifying. And then we all go for the pole. And whoever wins the pole will be, of course, starting in first.
Oh, a huge crash on front stretch.
All right, take a look at it just in a second. See the 8 of Cameron Chandler to the outside of Hilkwich as they head down the front straightaway. There's that 80 of Logan Giesbrett. Gets down into 1 and 2. You got Eli Tomlin on the back straightaway. So 22 cars over the line so far have put down times. Oh, upside down is the 36, I believe, of William Reagan. Trading paints. working, I think. It's actually a scheme. Thought it was training pace breaking itself, but it's actually Connor Asbell's scheme as he heads down the front straightaway with 8 minutes to go in the warm-up. On pit road, currently the 09 of John Butler in that pizza machine. Down the front straightaway goes the 12. That is Trenton Wilkin. Down the front straightaway goes Wilkin once again. Matt Crabb heading down in the 1 and 2 in that 53. Currently, Matt Crabb outside of the top 10. He's currently 17th on the board. He finished second so many times a season ago. As he gets back into 3 and 4. And down the front straightaway yet again. So, of course, tonight, here is our race form-up. So, of course, 134 laps, as always, for a mile and a half in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series. 201 miles, halfway break at the end of lap number 67. That'll work stage points to the top 10, like always. Pole position gets a bonus point. Also getting a bonus point will be if any drivers have a 0x incident points after tonight. Shockingly, after USA, we had 2 drivers that had that. Alexander Ortega and Paul Wilson had 0x a week ago, or last night, I should say, at USA Speedway for the Xfinity Series. That chaotic race down in Lakeland, Florida. Cup drivers head to Kentucky tonight for their second race of the season. Here in season number 4. Chevrolets heading down the back straightaway in the 3 and 4. It's the 50 of Haverhill to the inside of Andrew Stacy there in that 96. They'll make the position up, and then you got Hilkwich looking to the inside of that 96. He'll have to drop back in the line, get to his bumper down the front straightaway. Tries to slide back in there in 1 and 2. With the wall slightly, that 96 of Stacy gives the momentum back to the inside with that inside lane, and Hilkwich, and hard of the wall on the back straightaway is that 90 or 77 of Braden Hunsicker. There's Cameron Chandler pulling out a line slightly. There's the 36 of William Reagan, the 53 of Matt Crabb. Chandler currently only 12th on the board. Of course, he won the Xfinity Series race here a season ago. Definitely has high expectations coming into this one tonight, but only P12 so far. Is only about a 10th off, so maybe a couple adjustments in his line, whatnot. He could be up there, but Cameron Chandler not starting off the fastest so far. Great start for Dylan Banks and Bryce Benton, currently second and third, and then, of course, Matthew White currently top of the board. A couple Fords and Chevrolets racing here down the front straightaway. Matt Crabb currently leads Braden Hunsicker. There's the 36 of William Reagan to his inside. Down the back stretch they head. Tomlin pulls out a line. There's the 77 of Hunsicker. Momentum back to the outside lane. All right, so 4 minutes to go here in the warm-up session from Kentucky. Big group of cars here on the back straightaway. There's Hilkwich, the 81, the 50 of Connor Havrilla. There's the 19 of Rivera. He's looking like he's going down pit road. Grab down to the inside of that 81. trouble on the back straightaway. It's Andrew Stacy going for a spin. There in that 96, I'll slam the wall once again, and we'll come to a rest on the backstretch. All right, so let's get 3 minutes to go here in the warm-up session at Kentucky. Qualifying coming up next for the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series here from Kentucky Speedway. All right, Cole, you've been on the track for about 28 minutes now. Overall, as the sun begins to slightly set in the background, how is it on the racetrack currently?
Yeah, I think everyone is going to be pretty even out here tonight. You know, this setup, it's just everyone kind of running the same speed. Might be a little bit hard to pass, too, with a lot of people running similar speeds. So, going to be a pretty interesting race, but exciting to see what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, of course, the first mile and a half on the air is side-by-side action between Matthew White and Cameron Chandler. Kind of going to be a spotter's nightmare between these two tonight as White pulls around the outside. And yes, some of these guys actually do have real spotters, most notably John Butler in the 09, who currently is 8th on the board. Oh, one car got loose. That's the 19 of Rivera. I'm sorry, that's the 50 of Paparilla. Similar good paint schemes. Hilkwich up the racetrack as they head down to the 3 and 4. And back down this front stretch. Almost contact between that 50 and the 7. Minute and 30 to go here in the warm-up from Kentucky. Oh, contact once again. Paparilla gets to the quarter panel. Matthew White gets him turned around. Then Hilkwich slams into them. We got Cameron Chandler there on the bottom as well, and then William Reagan spins. So a big wreck here on the back straightaway. As they all come to a rest, and oh, sliding in at the last second, the 94 of C.J. Erdman. It's John Butler. Okay. And there is the 48 of Dylan Banks, currently 4th on the board. Banks is going to dig himself out of a deep hole. Your defending series champion after scoring 0 points from Daytona a week ago. And he definitely has a bit of a handful currently as Cole Clausen slams the wall here on the back straightaway. And that's 71. Oh, this is going to be interesting as he goes back up the racetrack and hard on the wall yet again.
I had no brakes.
Nice try. All right, as currently some cars sit on pit road. So a rule change, or 2 rule changes actually, that went over in the Xfinity Series race last night. We'll go over here once again as checkered flag is in the air for the warm-up session. Is of course, now before the green flag, we will have a lap for these drivers to come down pit road and check their pit road speed and find their pit box. So, and then of course, after that all happens, they'll go green. And the other rule change is the max I rating limit has been taken off for both Cup and Xfinity, so it's just minimum B-classed 2K I rating and 8 months of experience here in the Cup Series, with no maximum. All right, cars on the racetrack for qualifying. It is time to see who's going to win the pole for the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series Season Number 4 Kentucky Speedway Race. Down the back straightaway goes that 36 William Reagan. There's the 50 of Haverhill. Everybody going to pull off, so you got 2 laps to qualify as always. There is that 90 or 80 of Logan Giesbrecht. On the track is the C.J. Erdman machine. Here is Lucas Lewis coming to the green flag. Same thing with Mark Prince in the 20. There is the 96 of Andrew Stacy heading through 1 and 2. 72 of Connor Asbell kind of runs that basically middle line as he heads down the back straightaway. In the 3 and 4 goes Cameron Chandler. He improved late in the session. He hits the wall slightly. Went up the 4th in the warm-up. Down the front stretch goes Chandler in the 8. So it's Matthew White so far top of the board. Hunsaker second, Miller third, Reagan is fourth. Connor Aswell slides in P3, so good lap by Matthew White so far. Down the back straightaway for the final time is Ashton Miller. Gary Smith is third. Here is the 50 of Connor Havrilla off turn 4, heading down the front straightaway to the line on his lap. Havrilla, will slide in 9th. Butler's P2, great starting spot for him so far. Ashton Miller to the top of the board, and it's Matthew White improving, but not enough so far on provisional pole. And now Mark Prince goes to the top. What a drive by that 20. Top of the board so far. Through turns 3 and 4, Pace and Lindsay in the 99, heading down the front straightaway for the final, or I believe the first time actually, I'm sorry. Everyone wants to update. Pace and Lindsay was coming to the green that time by. So 2 minutes remaining here in qualifying. It's still Prince top of the board. Here is Wilkin heading through 3 and 4. A bit of a loose moment off the corner exit. Down the front stretch he goes. So most notably, as Dylan Banks now goes to 9th on the board, here is Wilkin to the line. Wilkin is 7th. Dylan Banks heading down the back straightaway. The final time in qualifying. Banks to the line. He will be 3rd. And that should just about do it in Cup qualifying. We got one more car yet to run. It is CJ Erdman. Here Wilkin is done in the 12. How about a shocking pole for Mark Prince in the 20? Or Braden Hughes, but he's actually Mark Prince. As Wilkin would go for a slide. He will be on pole here tonight for the Cup Series from Kentucky. Ashton Miller going to be starting to his outside. And then you got Dylan Banks starting P3. Bryce Benton 4th. Matt Grabb P5. So great starting spots all around for Team Chevy Motor Club starting 4th and 5th. Cole, looked like a pretty good lap for you starting P7.
Yeah, I was trying to go for the pole so that I could get an extra bonus point, but we're taking this thing. I'm giving myself an EOL. I don't want to be. I want backwards, as us MNF guys would say, because it gets crazy up there at times, and we're gonna just ride in the back for a little bit here.
All right, as we welcome you live to the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series. Season number 4 race from Kentucky, and we're here live once again. Welcome to Kentucky Speedway in the Cup Series in Season 4. All right, so of course they will come to check pit road speed. So let's go through your top 10 starting lineup. It is, of course, Mark Prince starting on pole. Ashton Miller going to be to his outside. Run number 2 will consist of Dylan Banks, Bryce Benton. And then he got Matt Grabb starting in the top 5. Matthew White to his outside. Row 4, Cole Clausen and John Butler, pair of Fords. Row number 5 will consist of Wilkin and Reagan. And then you can take a look at the rest of your starting grid on the left side of your screen. So going to be rolling off pit road in just a few moments. So, of course, race conditions for tonight, 134 laps, 201 miles, halfway break at the end of lap number 67.
Hang on, we're not going green.
As they roll off pit road. The NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series from Kentucky Speedway. It's, of course, race number 2 of the Cup Series season. And we are here back once again off the Daytona 500, which was won by Cole Wilson. Full-time in the Xfinity Series, of course. The Xfinity Series was at USA Speedway this week, so Cole Wilson will not be in this race tonight. So we're guaranteed to have a new winner in the Cup Series this season. So cars will come down pit road to check their pit road speed this time by, and we will have them coming to pit. They're also going to be able to check on their pit box, see where they are, double check all of that as everybody rolls off at the back end of the field. And Mark Prince, his first career Cup Series pole position, he will lead the field down pit road. All right. Of course, another thing to worry about tonight is the ever-changing track conditions, that the sun will be going down. Will obviously be under the lights before the end of tonight's event. Glare could be an issue as well as they come to check pit road speed and find their pit box. You can see Matt Grab there in the 53, currently starting 5th. He's going to have a good day to dig himself out of a bit of a points hole after Daytona. There's that 09 of John Butler. And, of course, Trenton Wilkin starting in P9, affiliated team as Butler, as they will all come to their pit stalls to take a look at them. Everybody go to the back. And we'll be green in just a few moments' time. $134 laps tonight in Kentucky. It is race number 2 of season number 4 for the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series. Some drivers after Daytona need to dig themselves out of a big points hole, and some drivers need to keep their points in a good position. The first mile and a half on the year. As they roll, pacing through 3 and 4. Pace car comes down pit road. And race number 2 of the season is green and underway from Kentucky. Oh, trouble in the back. One car already going around. That's the 96 of Andrew Stacy with his teammate C.J. Erdman. Stacy was involved in an early wreck in the Daytona 500. We're going to see if Stacy can get it going in the right direction, and he will, so we will keep it green. They head back down into 1 and 2. It's almost 3 and 4 wide action. John Butler in the middle of the 99 of Pace and Lindsay up there. Contact already made with Butler and Lindsay as they head down the back straightaway. You got Chandler on the inside there. The 77 of Braden Hunsicker as they head back down in the 3 and 4. On the second lap as Stacy got going, of course. Hughes already with about a half-second lead over Dylan Banks, his teammate, who took second on the opening lap. Matthew White around Ashton Miller for third as they head back down into 1 and 2. Miller falling back here early on after starting second. He's now got Bryce Benton, who is outside. Wilkin back there in that Toyota, currently running in 6th. Once again, pulling high, that 9 of Bryce Benton around Ashton Miller to clear him. Miller back into P5 after starting P2. He almost gets to the bumper of Benton down the front straightaway once again. Now he's got Wilkin all over his back bumper. As we come to lap 4 in Kentucky, half-second lead currently for Hughes. It's an ETR 1-2 right now. Peeking his nose in there is Wilkin as they roll down the back straightaway yet again. Matthew went on the bumper of Dylan Banks, moves to the inside through turns 3 and 4. Early days from Kentucky. Matt Grab currently running in 7th. Lost a couple spots on the initial start. So did Cameron Chandler, currently running in P8 in that number 8 machine. Here's Matthew White pulling out a line to the inside of Dylan Banks in that 48 for second. Banks trying to carry momentum back around the outside. He will. He will re-clear that 7 of Matthew White. And now they're starting to close up to the bumper of Mark Prince. He had a bit of a tight moment through 3 and 4. To the bumper of the 20 they go through 1 and 2. White trying to find some clean air on his number 7. Of course, he was fastest in practice overall. Looks pretty decent on the long runs as well. Up the racetrack goes Ashton Miller. He's got his former teammate Trenton Wilkin down to his inside. Down the front stretch they go side by side. Same thing, Matt Grab and Cameron Chandler racing for 7th. Chandler around the outside of that 53, trying to take the spot away. Mark Prince starting to pull a bit of a gap once again as they head down the back straightaway on the 7th lap from Kentucky. Chandler will clear that number 53 of Matt Grab, and now Wilkin working back to the inside of Ashton Miller. Now to the outside, here is Matthew White for 2nd on Dylan Banks. Side by side, Matthew White dominated this race a season ago. Ended in a speeding penalty and ultimately a crash in the closing laps. Matthew White is clear. New driver in 2nd place. It's the 7 of Matthew White. Back down into the 3 and 4 they go yet again. Now you got Ashton Miller on that outside. Bit of a loose moment there for the 9 of Bryce Benton. He will clear Miller and Wilkin once again. Momentum coming back around the outside as Miller clears that number 12 once more. Currently on lap 9 in Kentucky. Top 10 separated by about 1.6 seconds as Wilkin once again moves down to the inside of that 79 of Ashton Miller. Trenton Wilkin still having a tough time getting around that number 79 of Miller. Miller, of course, finished last in the Daytona 500, 34th, so he needs to have a good run here tonight in Kentucky as he hits the wall slightly and falls back into P6. Luckily for him, it was just the first race of the season. It's only minus 12 entering tonight as Wilkin is on the move already. He's to the bumper of that 9 of Bryce Benton for 4th. Bigger pole sitter. Mark Prince still leading. He's been out front now for 11 laps. Bryce Benton on the bumper of Dylan Banks. This is for 3rd. Benton to the inside. They head back down into 1 and 2. Banks trying to carry momentum back around the top. He will. Not quite clear now. He is clear down the back straightaway. Once again, back around the outside. A crossover move as they make contact through 3 and 4. Wilkin slides the mob up. Now he's going to split them 3 wide. Down the front stretch they go. 3 by 3. For P3. Still 3 wide as they head back into 1 and 2. Contact made between teammates Wilkin and Banks. And finally, Banks will drop out of line. He will lose 2 positions as Wilkin will slot into P4. An aggressive move by that number 12. As Benton still currently holds 3rd, but Wilkin is on the move early in Kentucky. Wilkin has been very, very good on short run pace as of late. Remember the last season, dominated the first half of the Bristol night race for the championship cutoff. Ended up kind of falling back later on, but ultimately still had a good day. We got one car loose in the back straightaway. That is Connor Asbell. falling back to 18th place. Looks like a bunch of the Showtime Motorsports cars are struggling early on. Cameron Chandler on the wall slightly as he tries to make his way around the outside of Dylan Banks. As they head back down into turns number 1 and 2. Hughes currently has about a 0.6 of a second lead over Mark Prince. There you can see a lap car, Andrew Stacy, currently running 23rd. Wilkin to the bumper of Benton, gets him a bit sideways. Benton up the racetrack a bit. Wilkin to his quarter panel, to his doors, side by side down the front straightaway, coming to lap 15. But all green so far. Side draft now, you got Cameron Chandler working his way around the outside. Will he decide to make it 3 wide? He will not. He'll slap back in line as he tries to race side by side with the 48 of Dylan Banks. Still door to door down this back straightaway between the number 11 or 12 of Wilkin and the 9 of Benton. Now you got Chandler going outside, possibly 3 wide as the 9 and the 12 make contact. Good racing going early on for P3 in Kentucky as Benton almost slides in front of the bumper of Dylan Banks. Banks elects to back out of it as Wilkin will clear for P3. He is now inside of the top 3 currently as they head down the back straightaway yet again. Third on back to about 13th, I believe, is all separated here in this big group. Braden Hunsicker around the outside. He had a quiet day in the Daytona 500 as Cameron Chandler hits the wall slightly down this front straightaway. Working to the outside now is Braden Hunsicker on Dylan Banks. Banks has been falling back on the short run early on as Andrew Stacy got in the way of your leader, Mark Prince, slightly. He'll go to the outside and he'll be put 1 lap down, and now Matthew White really gets compromised by that 96, who is, of course, spun out early in the race and struggling going a lap down now. Here's Chandler now to the bumper of that number 12 of Wilkin. Through 1 and 2. Cameron Chandler has started to come on strong here in the longer runs as Andrew Stacy kind of sits in the way. Will compromise the line of Chandler as they head back into 3 and 4. Now here's the 8 of Chandler back to the outside. Almost 3 wide action around the lap car. They will try to split them once again. There's Miller trying to get around him. Braden Hunsicker to the inside of Dylan Banks. This is for P6 between these 2 Chevrolets. As they head down the back straightaway yet again. But all green so far, coming to lap 20 here in Kentucky. Ooh, Braden Hunsicker slides once again up the racetrack. Bryce Benton way up the track now as Dylan Banks will make his way to the outside. Nearly gets that number 9 turned around as Chandler to the inside of Wilkin here. This is for 3rd. As they race down the front straightaway, Wilkin going to possibly lose 2 spots. Tries to get momentum back around the outside of Benton and possibly the 8 of Chandler. He's got good momentum. He's side by side with an 8 once again down the back straightaway. Currently for the lead is going on between Matthew White and Mark Prince. You look up front. Side by side once again between Chandler and Wilkin. Down the front stretch they go. 2 drivers that had big success in the Xfinity Series in their careers, as side by side for the lead for the first time tonight is Matthew White to the inside of that number 20 of Mark Prince. For the lead through turns 3 and 4, coming to lap 22. Still side by side, Hughes has that outside lane. It should carry momentum back down the front straightaway. And back into 1 and 2 they go. Matthew White on the inside lane, tries to drive it in deep. Prince trying to keep momentum on the outside. He will not. New leader in Kentucky, Matthew White in the 7. Takes the lead on lap 22. Now Trenton Wilkin falling back to about 4th. Chandler has made his way up into P3. Wilkin has momentum back around the outside, though, on the 8 machine. Looking to get there once again. Dylan Banks has been falling back early on, back to P9. Now back to P10 is a big slide off corner exit for Trenton Wilkin. He will lose a position there to Bryce Benton as he's to his outside, and then he got Ashton Miller on his bumper. Ooh, that number 12 is all over the racetrack. He is completely sideways. Definitely started to burn up his stuff early in the race, as now you got 77 and the 79 getting around him down the front straightaway. He's going to be starting to be eaten alive here now by Matt Grab. Dylan Banks on the inside. You got the 36 of William Reagan up the top. John Butler currently running in 11th. There is 12th Payson Lindsay. And here is Banks to that inside of Matt Grab for 8th. Once again, Wilkin in the wall slightly. And big run back to the inside of that number 12, and maybe a 3 wide action moment, thinking about it just for a second, was Matt Grab. 25 laps into Kentucky, and down the backstretch they go. Here's Lindsay for 11th. To the inside of John Butler, heading through turns 3 and 4. So Benton is on the bumper of his teammate Cameron Chandler as they head back down to the 1 and 2. Up front, you got Hughes, who's about 3/10 back on Matthew White, who just took the lead from your pole sitter in the 20. Braden Hunsaker has been slowly but surely making his way up inside of the top 5. If he gets around Ashton Miller, he will be 5th. And he's on the bumper of that 79, looking to set him up for a pass possibly. But now for a pass to the inside goes Matt Grab on Trenton Wilkin. Grab is now 8th. Benton has been pressuring his teammate Cameron Chandler as he works his way to the inside for 3rd. Bryce Benton on Chandler. Chandler gets some momentum back around the outside lane. He will clear that 9 once again as Hunsaker moves to the inside of Ashton Miller. Still early days in Kentucky. So, of course, Dylan Banks fell back early on. Starting to make a bit of a comeback to the inside for 6th on Ashton Miller. They roll down the front straightaway. Already about an 8/10 second of a lead for Matthew White in the 7. As Cameron Chandler starts to reel in Mark Prince, he's still got Bryce Benton all over his back bumper. And to the inside for 3rd. Benton to the 9 on his teammate. For P3. Side by side, almost contact, trying to make a slide job happen. Didn't work. Down the front straightaway they go side by side once again as they begin to catch up to the bumper of that number 20 of Mark Prince. Through 1 and 2 once again. It is now Bryce Benton clearing for Cameron Chandler for 3rd. Now Benton to the inside of that 20 of Prince. For P2, Bryce Benton has been on fire so far tonight in Kentucky. Ooh, an aggressive side draft down the front straightaway once again. Benton was talking in Daytona, of course, got better over the offseason, had a lot of practice, had good runs throughout Daytona Speedway, of course, won the IndyCar Series race there and finished well in the Daytona 500. And he is up to 2nd place in Kentucky on lap 31. Now you got Cameron Chandler working his way around the outside of that number 20. Oh, Hughes slides up the racetrack in front of Chandler and Braden Hunsaker as they push high. Already, again, Dylan Banks has momentum. Got Ashton Miller back here as well. Looking back to about 12th place is Trenton Wilkin, who has fallen back on the longer run. Definitely wore out his tires early on as Dylan Banks makes his way to the inside of Hughes. Down the backstretch in the 3 and 4. Oh, up the racetrack he goes on his teammate. Nearly contact is made. Both are able to keep it off each other for the most part. And that's the 2nd time the 48 and the 20 have nearly gotten together. Now you got Ashton Miller working his way back around the inside of Dylan Banks. about halfway in the first half for the stage break. Here is Banks trying to get momentum back around that outside lane. He's got to run down this front straightaway on his teammate. Mark Prince going to set him up, try to make a pass once again. As trying to run along with him, sorry about that. They head back down into 1 and 2. One driver screaming for a caution. It would be Andrew Stacy, currently 1 lap down. Definitely wants to keep that free pass position if possible. Next car that would be put lap down is Stacy's teammate CJ Erdman. Head down the front stretch yet again, 35 laps into Kentucky. Here is Banks to the bumper of his teammate. Once again down into 1 and 2. Riding along with Dylan Banks. He will try to set up the pass down into 3 and 4. To the inside of Husey Yoes, as you can see up there as well. Braden Hunsicker making his way to the inside of Cameron Chandler. That is for 3rd. Hunsicker will clear that number 8. And Hughes up the racetrack he goes. See Ashton Miller trying to catch him down the back straightaway. It's Dylan Banks now inside the top 5. Here is Miller to the inside of Hughes. Of course, Hughes started on pole, led the first 20 laps or so, but falling back to now about 7th place. Battle for 6th down the front stretch. As they head back down into 1 and 2. Now, Cameron Chandler definitely looks like on the longer run starting to fall back. They'll have Dylan Banks in that 48 back to his outside once again, heading down the front straightaway. Banks has had an interesting race. Of course, started somewhere up front, and then he fell back early on, and now regaining positions once again. As CJ Erdman goes 1 lap down. The racetrack slightly is the 77 of Braden Hunsicker. Of course, got around Cameron Chandler for 3rd. Now you got Dylan Banks starting to challenge both these guys. To the outside he goes on that number 8 of Cameron Chandler. And aggressive move back to the inside for P4. Oh, up the racetrack he goes. Contact is made between Chandler and Banks. 2 champions of the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League. Of course, Cup Series for Dylan Banks, Xfinity Series for Cameron Chandler last season in Season 3. They both made contact, both full-time in Cup this year, currently running 4th and 5th. Here we go, back to the inside is Dylan Banks on Cameron Chandler. Into 1 and 2, he will clear him. Moves up the racetrack slightly, but does not allow Chandler to make the crossover. New driver in 4th, it is Dylan Banks in the 48. Down the back straightaway once again. Chandler tries to go to the outside. Gets momentum once again. It's not over yet. He's back to the outside of Dylan Banks here once again, coming to lap 41. Side by side, they go down the front straightaway. Back into turns number 1 and 2. Ooh, a bit of a loose moment there for the 8 car. He will have to drop back in line behind that 48. And now Dylan Banks will set his eyes on Braden Hunsicker. Side by side here is between that number 20 of Mark Prince and the 53 of Matt Grab. Heading through turns 3 and 4. Toyotas on the shorter runs, or longer runs, are definitely starting to fall back. As you see Rivera looking to the inside of that number 12 of Trenton Wilk, and that is for 12th. Rivera currently running in 13th. John Butler now makes his way around the outside of that number 36, or 20. And it is Mark Prince back into 9th place. They're starting on pole position, leading the first about 20 or so laps. Chandler not giving up here on Dylan Banks, as he's looking to move once again back to the inside for 4th. The aggressive side draft once again through 1 and 2. Oh, falling back in line once again is Dylan Banks. He'll make a crossover back to the inside on Chandler as they head through 3 and 4. Aggressive move by that number 48 of Dylan Banks as he slides back up the racetrack. He'll get back in line and behind that number 8 machine. Got lap traffic here at the 96 of Andrew Stacy, and he will go 2 laps down. Same thing with Gary Smith. He's going a lap down in that 97 here on lap 44 of 134 in Kentucky. We've been all green so far. 1.8 second lead for Matthew White as they make their way around some lap traffic. CJ Ehrman there once again in the 94. Again, Ashton Miller starting to come back. Ooh, I think Banks had a bit of a moment there, and he is falling back once again behind Cameron Chandler. Big moment there for the 48 of Dylan Banks, trying to get around lap traffic. .23 to go till the halfway break here in Kentucky as Ashton Miller makes his way around some of these lap cars. CJ Ehrman and Gary Smith. Of course, you do not want to lose the free pass position here, because if you do, you're not getting your lap back if there's not another caution, because, of course, we don't give waiver rounds anymore for normal circumstances. Almost 3 wide, trying to split the lap cars is Matt Grab on the inside of Smith and Erdman. Matt Grab will clear both of them through turns 3 and 4. Matt Grab has had a quiet night so far, currently runs 7th. Here's Ashton Miller back to the bumper of Dylan Banks. Battle for P6. Into 1 and 2 they go yet again. Here's Miller, momentum around the outside lane. It definitely looks like that moment that Dylan Banks had definitely hurt him a whole lot, and he's going to lose probably 2 positions, and he'll let Matt Grab go from the looks of it, as Dylan Banks slops back into P7. As they roll down the front stretch yet again here in Kentucky. Battle now going on for 5th between Miller and Grab. Lap car to pull out a line with John Butler, trying to put him 1 lap down. And Mark Prince has had a bit of an issue, I believe. He is now 1 lap down. I believe he had to come down pit road for service. 1.3 second lead. So speaking about that on pit road, Bryce Benson beginning to start to run down Matthew White. So Cole, if you can you give us a bit of a fuel update? And now it looks like Matthew White's down in the bottom, and thought he was coming down pit road, but he will not this time by. So he's coming to lap 50. Cole, if you can you give us a bit of a fuel update with 18 to go? So the halfway break this time by? Guess not yet. I don't know.
Sorry about that. My mic was muted, but to give you an update, looks like we have 13 laps of fuel left right now.
So they would theoretically have to pit. As to the bumper of Giesbrecht is Matthew White down the front straightaway. But Matthew White, as you can hear, is actually coasting slightly. Let's ride along with the 7 and take a listen. You heard the end of the coast, but let's listen to it down this back straightaway. Yeah, turns the machine completely off as they head back into 3 and 4. Something he was doing at the championship race last season, it ultimately ended up working out, but unfortunately he lost too much time. And Dylan Banks was able to get around him for the championship lead and ultimately come home with the title last season. Currently running in 2nd is Bryce Benson. I do not hear Benson coasting at all. That's why I think he's closing up back to 1.1 seconds as they head down the back straightaway. There's Cameron Chandler currently running in 3rd. Matt Grab, as always, long run speed coming on. He's to the outside of the number 8. As they are all kind of, I can hear a couple of them coasting. I believe Chandler's coasting. I don't think Benton is, though. So if you don't coast, if you don't save enough here, you're going to have to be down pit road before the stage ends. And I believe Chandler is coasting. That allows Matt Grab to just drive right around him. So early pit strategy here in Kentucky, as we got Miller to the outside here of Braden Hunsinger. I believe also Dylan Banks is beginning to save. That's why he's kind of fallen back so far. I don't know how you're going to be able to save, what is it, 5 laps under green. As we got cars on pit road coming down pit road for service, so we can actually get to it. As Connor Aswell, as that 72 has damage, Connor Aswell currently on pit road. First service coming on pit road was the 99 of Payson Lindsay, as we see him on the inside. So something happened to that 72 of Connor Aswell. We now do have a battle for the lead, as here's actually Hilkwich to the inside of his teammate Dylan Banks. Banks is definitely saving a whole lot to try to make it to the end. You do not want to come down pit road. Is now for the lead easily, as we got Haverilla coming down pit road. Is Bryce Benton. He clears Matthew White. Can actually find it. Apologies. And of course, as White is desperately trying to save fuel, he easily gives up the lead to Benton, who is all wide open, so we may expect a pit stop from Bryce Benton. Of course, there's White completely on save mode as they head back down into 1 and 2. So Lindsay is pitted, Hughes is pitted as well. Erdman, I believe, still yet to pit. Giesbrett currently 1 lap down. Here's Matt Grab currently running in 3rd. It's a long run in the first half here from Kentucky. 56 laps green so far. We have yet to have a caution flag. As there is Dylan Banks, of course, saving again. He's letting Lucas Lewis to his outside. And that 20 of Hughes. Banks slower than I would expect, and maybe coming to pit this time, but I know he stays out. Dylan Banks continuing to drop positions as he gets down the front straightaway. Back to 12th. Ooh, and the wall slightly. Payson Lindsay. He's on fresh tires, of course, got fuel. Trying to make his way around this zero of Lucas Lewis as they make contact down the back straightaway. Now you got Trenton Wilkin to the inside of CJ Erdman. It's all kind of messed around with some cars making pit cycles, some cars trying to save, and drivers trying to save are going for stage points as John Butler comes to pit. Miller definitely saving down the front straightaway. So is Cameron Chandler. Everybody kind of off the gas here. Only one I haven't really been seeing saving is the number 9 of Bryce Benton, who currently has a 3-second lead. You can see, of course, Matt Grab is saving. So is Cameron Chandler. So is Braden Hunsinger. I mean, they're all on the inside trying to draft with each other. That's just how much they're trying to save to make it to the end with 10 to go. So the halfway break coming to 9 to go this time by. Ilkworth to the outside here in the 81. So if you're going full song here like that 81 of Hilkwich is, you're going to have to come down pit road. If you're doing what the 53, the 8, the 77, the 79, and others are doing, you're going to be okay. I haven't really seen this at mile and a half, especially how much saving they're doing here through 1 and 2. So if you were to pit now, you would stay out under the halfway break. But honestly, it almost makes more sense to pit because you're not losing that much time trying to save. You got your leader on pit road. That is the 9 of Bryce Benton, like we expected. Not able to save enough. He will have to surrender and come to pit. I would also expect Wilkin and Hilkwich also to come down pit road. They have been kind of running full song as well. So differing strategies. Hilkwich and Wilkin are both teammates. So, and then their other teammate, the 48 of Dylan Banks hasn't pitted just yet, as 9 of Benton will roll off pit road. Banks is also trying to save, I believe. Matthew White currently with the lead. There's the 88 of Dylan Banks, still trying to save some fuel. He's all over the back bumper of Cameron Chandler here. This is just how much they're saving. Let's ride along and take a listen. Chandler lets Banks go. He's even slower down the back straightaway. And he is just completely coasting down to the 3 and 4. Very, very interesting stuff here. Right before the halfway break, as there is Rivera to the inside of Lewis. Lewis is way off the pace, trying to save a whole lot. I don't know if Dylan Banks is saving anymore. Maybe he got himself to a good position as they head back down into 1 and 2. He's making his way to the bumper of Matt Grab. And here's Wilkin around Matthew White for the lead. But that would most likely cycle around because Wilkin hasn't really been saving a whole lot, but now he is kind of slow down the front straightaway, so he is now eventually now going to save as Payson Lindsay, who pitted, goes around the outside of Matthew White to unlap himself. William Reagan currently in 3rd. He's also trying to do the save method, so is, of course, Dylan Banks. Coming off pit road is the 71 of Cole Clausen. He surrenders in pits. I mean, we got so many lap cars trying to make themselves go around these lead lap cars to get laps back. It honestly looks a lot like Richmond with the differing tire strategies we have there. But over here, it's just all fuel saving. Hunsicker definitely saving less than Matt Grab. Closing final laps of the stage, 4 laps to go till the halfway break. Trenton Wilkin currently with the lead, but will he have enough fuel to make it to the end? Doing everything he can to save. Matthew White completely shuts it off down to the 3 and 4. Of course, as we have been all green so far in this first half, this is the situation we are left with. They're just on the cusp of making it, so might as well just try. Here's Gary Smith, currently running in 22nd. He had an issue on pit road. He's currently 5 laps down. Make their way to the outside of Matthew White to lap themselves once they get around Trenton Wilkin, who currently has a 6-second lead, who is saving even less than Matthew White. Using deep save mode as now Braden Hunsicker has gotten around that 7 car. Yeah, White is completely saving. He's got that thing pretty much shut off almost around this entire racetrack. He's not even on the gas whatsoever as they come to 2 to go to the halfway break. As I believe Wilkin has surrendered to pit, if I'm not mistaken. Banks has gotten in the 2nd. Wilkin is on pit road in the 12th. Could not save enough, even with all that. So coming on the white flag in the stage this time by, we got Dylan Banks on the back bumper of Braden Hunsicker. Up the racetrack goes that 77 for the lead, coming to the final lap of the stage. Side by side down the front straightaway. Will it be all go mode or will it be some saving? Banks will take the lead and clear Braden Hunsicker. Will he have enough to make it to the end as they come back to 1 to go in the stage this time by? Dylan Banks looking to come out of turn number 2 and heading down the back straightaway. Here he goes in the 48. Did not pit, playing the strategy to perfection, coasting his way through turns 3 and 4. We'll wait for the top 5 to cross the line before the caution flag comes out. Green and white checkered flag. Dylan Banks will win the stage as he comes to the line. 2nd going to be Braden Hunsicker. 3rd, I believe, is going to be Hughes. 4th will be Benton. 5th will be Giesbrecht. Great stage points for that number 80. And he will come to the line and the caution flag will fly. Very, very interesting first half here from Kentucky. It is Dylan Banks playing the strategy right, picking up the green and white checkered flag, your stage winner here from Kentucky Speedway. Caution is out. For the first time tonight, it's the halfway break from Kentucky. So the first yellow flag of the day, and it comes out at the halfway break. So we'll obviously see cars coming down pit road in a bit. And what a great job by Dylan Banks picking up the stage victory after saving all of that. Even as pit road was closed, we see some cars coming to get some service. Here's the 77 Hunsicker on pit road. So they will have go to the tail end of the longest line, I believe. Because pit road was not open. So they all come to pit this time by just on absolute fumes. So it's definitely going to be an interesting second half, especially if you don't get any caution flags. All right, here they come to pit. One car out of the race so far. It's Connor Asbell with an early race issue. Got damage on his number 72, and he's currently out of the race. Going to score 0 points tonight. Not what that 72 team needed after having a good run in the Daytona 500. All right, leaders on pit road. After that big sequence of events to end the stage, Dylan Banks picked up the green and white checkered flag. After all, that's fuel saving. All right, obviously going to be 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Pack it as full as you can of fuel for the second half. And race off pit road. It will be Dylan Banks, I believe, on Hughes. Yes, it will be. He will win the race off pit road. Second will be that 20 of Hughes. Third will be Bryce Benton. Fourth, Lindsay. Fourth, Hunsaker. I mean, fifth is going to be Payson Lindsay. Rivera comes off sixth. And ultimately, all interesting strategy around. All right, under the halfway break in Kentucky currently. There is Gary Smith in the 97. Hilkwich comes to pit in the 81. There's the 96 of Andrew Stacy, and there is another group of cars rolling off pit road. There is the 7 of Matthew White. Ultimately, that strategy did not work out at all for him. Take a check real quick, but Matthew White got 2 stage points and going to be restarting outside of the top 10. So ultimately, I don't think that was very successful for Matthew White. All right, coming to the choose this time by. I'm sorry, we have 1 to go till the choose. Messed that up. All right. Under the halfway break in Kentucky, we'll be right back. Stay tuned for the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series.
Ethan.
He left to go do something. I don't know what's going on.
What's up with the stage yellow?
I don't know, man. What the heck?
I was 0.4.
All right, as we welcome you back live to Kentucky under the halfway break. So we got Dylan Banks here in the booth. So coming to the choose cone this time by. Dylan, I'm assuming you want to do a mid-race interview?
Oh, I was coming in here. I was coming to say, Ethan, what was with that stage yellow?
It came out.
Or was that
it was
Cameron Chandler a
the
lap late?
The top 5 had to cross the line first.
I was 0.4. I had 0.4 gallons coming in pit road. That was fun fuel saving though, but I was thinking about pitting or I was thinking about saving fuel, but saving fuel I guess is the call.
All right, so as they come to the choose this time by, kind of inside-outside for a lot. So Dylan, you'll have your teammates starting here on the front row. You're going to be, of course, starting with the lead after playing the strategy perfectly and then, of course, winning the stage. Halfway through here at Kentucky, what do you guys think you're going to be able to do to try to challenge for your first win of the season?
Oh man, so a lot of laps left to go. We're just halfway, just past halfway. I'm gonna try to manage my stuff, save my stuff, but not give up as many spots as I did in that first stage. I was just trying to, I knew we were gonna be short on fuel, so I was just trying to save fuel, but also not give up too many spots. But I had to back it down again to save even more fuel. So I guess we'll see. I know guys are gonna be pushing to try to get up here, but we're just gonna do our best to manage and try to keep it up front.
All right, well, good luck in the second half here at Kentucky, Dylan.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll restart on lap 73. We've had 1 caution flag so far. It was of course, for the halfway break. So it's the first restart of the night. We had the first choose cone moment of the night as well. And here we go. Going to be Dylan Banks and Mark Prince starting on the front row. Pace car comes back down pit road. Second half coming to the green flag this time by here at Kentucky. Row number 1, Banks, Hughes. Row number 2, Benton and Lindsay as they come back strolling through the Geico restart zone. We are back on the right from Kentucky. A great start back in the inside lane of Dylan Banks. And Bryce Benton will be almost clear of that 20 of Mark Prince. Oh, big block to the inside on Prince on Lindsay. They all are able to save it as they head back down into 1 and 2. And once again, oh, trouble! Payson Lindsay, a big loose moment. He will save it. And Urban's in the wall down the back straightaway. They all are able to hang on to it somehow. They slide around 3 and 4 wide through turns 3 and 4. Contact made with Lindsay and Havrilla slightly. That 99 had a big loose moment that nearly got more cars turned around as CJ Urban, of course, hit the wall down that back straightaway. Early restart chaos. They head down the front straightaway 3 wide with Lindsay, the 77 on Hunsicker, and Colt Clausen in the 71. Matthew White at the P7 already. He's to the inside of Hilquich in the 81. He will clear him down the back straightaway up to 6th. Braden Hunsicker now to the inside of that number 81 of Hilquich, who has just kind of been off pace all day long. Now Hunsicker to the door of Connor Havrilla down this front straightaway. For second going on side by side, it is Bryce Benton around the outside of Braden Hughes. Or Mark Prince. How about Matthew Rivera currently running in 4th? Prince moves the 9 up the racetrack. Benton's going to have the outside lane, so he will carry more momentum as they head back to the 3 and 4. Also got Ashton Miller involved for the lead. Up the racetrack goes that number 20 of Prince. Benton is almost clear. Now he is clear. New driver in 2nd place. It's the 9 of Benton. He's had a good day all along. He's led some laps, and now he's going to challenge for the lead on the bumper of Dylan Banks. Mark Prince currently hanging on to 3rd. He's got Matthew Rivera, who is having an absolutely fantastic run so far, as Matthew White will clear Ashton Miller for 5th. Oh, car gets loose in the back, and that's the 90 of Tomlin. He's able to somehow hang on to it. That thing was completely sideways. You saw it at the last second, and that, I don't really know how he was able to hang on to that thing, as Trenton Wilkin and Matt Grab try to get around him. That is currently for 14th. Chandler to the outside, racing for 9th on Payson Lindsay, his teammate. Up front here is Bryce Benton to the back bumper of your leader, Dylan Banks. For the race lead in Kentucky, your defending series champion trying to hold off the 9. So they roll down the back straightaway yet again. Bryce Benton all over the back bumper of that 48 of Dylan Banks as they head back into 3 and 4 and rolling down the front straightaway yet again. Bryce Benton really impressing here on these 1.5 miles early on. Currently runs 2nd. He's still putting pressure on the 48, but you gotta be wondering how much is Dylan Banks saving, as now here is Benton to the outside of that 48 for the lead, side by side in the 3 and 4. Bryce Benton back around the outside, has momentum on the top. Still not clear of the 48. Now he is clear. New leader in Kentucky. It's Bryce Benton to the 9. How about Matthew Rivera to the outside lane for 2nd on Dylan Banks. Banks definitely starting to save slightly. Rivera going to clear him for P2. Matthew White back up here. He's to the inside of Mark Prince for 4th. Ooh, up the racetrack slightly goes that 7 once again. Prince back around the outside of Dylan Banks, and now possibly for the lead, Rivera put pressure on the 9 of Benton. He's making a crossover back to the inside. Matthew Rivera looking to lead his first laps in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League. Banks now battling with Matthew White for 4th. These two, of course, battled it out in the championship race at Kansas City a season ago. Banks ended up on top, and now, looking to the inside is Matthew Rivera for the lead. Matthew White looks to the inside of the 20 of Mark Prince, and they're almost 3 wide for 2nd. To the inside is that 7. For P3, Matthew White has the speed on the short run so far. Side by side down the back stretch they go. White still keeping it to the quarter panel, to the door, and now to the outside for the lead in Kentucky, possibly saving us the 9 of Benton. But here comes Matthew Rivera. You got the 7 of Matthew White to the inside of the 20 of Mark Prince. He's there, side by side, 2 lanes deep for the top 2 spots. Now Brenton slides up the racetrack. There is Matthew White as Rivera clears for the lead. Matthew White to the inside of the 9 per second. Nearly contact for second place. They both go up the racetrack. As they head back down into 1 and 2. Ooh, almost contact. Contact is made now between the 20 of Prince and the 9 of Benton. Now you can see the 48 of Dylan Banks looking to split him 3 wide down the back straightaway with the 77 of Braden Hunsicker up involved there as well. Still 3 wide heading down the front stretch. What a crazy start to the second half on lap 85 in Kentucky. Contact made once again. Prince still pushing the 77 of Hunsicker up the racetrack. You got the 79 of Miller on the bumper of that 20. Braden Hunsicker clears the 20, and now he'll drop back in front of him. Now you got the 48 of Dylan Banks working around the outside of Bryce Benton. Maybe good on his fuel number. He's to the outside for P3. Benton kind of slowing up that inside lane. And new driver in third, it is Dylan Banks. To the outside now for P4 is Braden Hunsicker on Bryce Benton once again. The 9 slides up the racetrack, trying to get to the door of the 77. You got the 20 of Mark Prince on the inside as well. But how about Matthew Rivera leading the first laps in his Cup Series career in the 19? Almost contact between Dylan Banks and Braden Hunsicker as they run down the back straightaway side by side for third. Banks once again around the top lane of that 77. Should have the preferred line and the momentum to clear him. Bryce Benton starting to fall back here. He's got the 20 of Mark Prince back on his bumper. And here for the outside, for maybe the lead, is the 7 of Matthew White on the 19 of Rivera. Rookie versus veteran. One driver, Rivera, leading his first ever Cup Series laps. He's got the driver that has been here since the very beginning, and Matthew White round the outside to take the lead in Kentucky. On lap 88. Bryce Benton continuing to fall back. Side by side, almost contact once again. He bangs doors with the 20 down the front straightaway. They've been going at it all day long. Tempers are flaring here from Kentucky between Mark Prince and Bryce Benton. How about Connor Havrilla up in 8th place? You got Cameron Chandler still sitting in 9th. Maybe a bit of fuel saving going on for that 8 car. You never know. It's once again contact between Hughes and Benton. Up the racetrack is the 9. He gets him tight. Aggressive racing going on with 45 laps to go from Kentucky. Still side-by-side action is here. To the outside is, oh, contact again between the 20 and the 9. They door slam once again down the front straightaway. Hughes gets loose. Benton on his bumper. Here is Havrilla currently running in 7th. Where is he going to make a move? I mean, these two are not happy with each other whatsoever. Tempers obviously flaring as Dylan Banks will clear Rivera for 2nd place. Like we expected, here is Braden Hunsicker down to the bumper of the 19. That is for 3rd. The Delaware Life 77 Chevrolet of Braden Hunsicker down the front straightaway. Side by side, Havrilla and the 20 of Mark Prince, who is beginning to fall back even more. As we see the 79 of Ashton Miller back to the inside. He will clear Prince in the 20. Prince now back to 8th. He's got Cameron Chandler working to his bumper again. Here is Miller for P6. Up the racetrack goes that 8 of Chandler. They roll down the front stretch yet again. 93 laps into Kentucky. We've been all green so far besides the halfway break. Ooh, a bit of a slide there for Ashton Miller down on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to go side by side. Possibly now 3 wide as Hughes makes it to the inside of Miller and Chandler. Nearly 3 wide down the back straightaway, but Chandler will clear them both. Now he gets checked up by that 50 of Haverilla. He'll have to go get momentum. He's going to make a crossover, possibly back to the inside. Oh, Haverilla gets turned. Through the grass he goes in the 50. And he will slide back up in the middle of the track. Caution will come out. For the first, just as I was saying it, first incident caution of the night in Kentucky. It is Connor Haverilla going for a slide. Got turned around by the 8 of Cameron Chandler, and that is the second time in this week after the Xfinity Series race that somebody has been turned off the front bumper of the 8 car of Cameron Chandler. Let's take a look at what happens. So Haverilla just gets tight up the racetrack. Oh yeah, definitely makes a block. Not on Chandler whatsoever. Gets some airtime. Through the grass he goes, down the front straightaway. Let's ride along with Cameron Chandler in the 8 through this accident. See how it all looked from his point of view. Yeah, no fault alone by Chandler there. Just bad block by the 50 of Haverilla as you see him slide up back into the racetrack. So this should pretty much take care of the fuel situation. We'll have to go back live here for a second to see cars coming down pit road. So they should be all good to pit here and run full song till the end, I would have to imagine.
Yeah. That completely changes the race because we'll definitely be able to be good on fuel now.
So it's the first incident caution of the night on lap 95. So they come down to pit. And obviously, usually a single car spin would not result in a caution.
Oh, we got a crash on pit road. The 19 of Matthew Rivera.
Oh, around goes the 19. He will spin on into his pit stalls. We look at your leaders up front. Of course, Rivera was having a good run tonight. That's unfortunate for him if he can't recover. 4 fresh Goodyear tires for your leaders. And off pit road first, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be the 7 of Matthew White. Second will be the 48 of Dylan Banks. Third will be Braden Hunsaker. Fourth, big battle. These two have been going at it all day long. It'll be Mark Prince getting some track position on Bryce Benson. How about Eli Tom on a good stop? He's up to 7th place. I think only 2 tires for that 90. Peyton Lindsay will be out in 8th. Cameron Chandler is going to be 6th. The 79 of Ashton Miller loses some track position, and rounding at your top 10 will be the 12 Trenton Wilkin. All right. So 2 cars currently behind the pace car. That is William Reagan and the 0 of Lucas Lewis. So Lucas Lewis, I think, will get the free pass. They should be all coming out pit road pretty soon. 1 car out of the race tonight is Connor Asbell. That's going to be back-to-back last place finishes for Showtime Motorsports as we'll come to 2 to go to the green flag this time by. After they finished last with Ashton Miller. Actually, there's 1 to go. So they will choose to the inside. Will actually be Dylan Banks choosing low. That's something you, of course, could not do a season ago. So Banks definitely knows the inside has the advantage. Going to choose the low line to follow Matthew White. White's going to have his teammate Braden Hunsaker on the outside. We will restart here on lap number 98. All right, so Highline Motorsports teammates here on the front row. So, of course, Connor Aswell entered in 10th place in the standings. 9th place in the standings. I'm sorry, he was +4 entering, and this is definitely going to put him below the cut line for sure. Everything finishes like it is. All right. We will be restarting with 37 laps to go here from Kentucky. So everybody should be all good on fuel after the first incident caution of the night came out. Pace car comes back down pit road. We are, as they come back to the Geico restart zone once again here at Kentucky, back underway. Good restart like we envisioned for the inside lane. That's why the choose is so important as Cameron Chandler pulls on a line with Hughes. There is Hunsicker in the 77 through the middle. You got the 9 of Benton on the inside as well. Pace and Lindsay in the 99, so they will all be... Oh! Contact is made! Benton's spinning. He's to the inside. He collects Hunsicker. Caution gonna come out. And just like that, the second incident caution of the night comes out. It's a driver that was having such a strong run. Bryce Benton going around. Let's take a look at what happened to bring out the yellow. Of course, second incident caution of the night, third overall. Yeah, just got, honestly looked like a bit of net code there. Pace and Lindsay got a piece of it, and then you can see kind of goes through the 12 of Trenton Wilkins, so definitely mostly net code, I think. It's right along with the 9 of Benton. I think it was possibly Hunsicker that got loose first. Oh yeah, he got, maybe it was net code, but it looks like he just got loose. They kind of just go through each other. They spin on the back straightaway. So, like they say, cautions breed cautions, and we have seen that now.
Yeah, there's been a good amount of like net code issues and people like going through other people. Like, I think it was CJ Erdman when he got really loose. He like basically just went right through me like a dang ghost. So there's been a lot of issues with that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, iRacing, they love to have those sort of issues. We'll come to see some drivers coming to top off. But everybody should be good on fuel for the end. So they will come to lap 100 in Kentucky. All right. Matthew White currently with the lead. Dylan Banks currently in second. 35 laps to go from Kentucky Speedway. Of course, see drivers on pit road to service their race cars. It's been a very, very tough day for Clear High Racing. Of course, Andrew Stacy was spun around on the very first lap, didn't bring out a caution flag, and then, of course, then there was no caution flags in the first half whatsoever after that. And then, of course, after that all happened, CJ Urban had some damage. He was been pretty much off the pace all day long, currently runs 21st. And then their other car, their other full-time car, the 50 of Connor Havrillo, got spun around down the front straightaway, but he's honestly covered the P8 after staying out, I believe. Let's give a shout out to Sean Hilkwich in the 81. Was pretty much off pace early in the race, but currently runs inside of the top 5. So, having a bit of a good rebound tonight. Alright, so we'll be coming to the choose cone this time by. If I had to imagine, it's going to be Matthew White to the inside, Dylan Banks to the inside as well. Maybe Banks going to pull to the outside to maybe trick us, but I would assume he would go inside. And yes, he will. He's going to 1 to go, so it's going to be top 3 all going inside. That'll give the front row to the other Monster Energy car, Cameron Chandler. That'll also pull up Hilkwich in the 81. And the choose cone has been making some very, very interesting moments here all throughout the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League in Season 4. Definitely a great addition so far. As they all file in back there. Of course, I believe Braden Hunsicker, of course, got that damage. He's going to be restarting, I believe, 13th. Ashton Miller had to check up a bit on that caution flag, so he'll be restarting in 14th. All right, 2 Monster Energy cars leading the field to the green flag. So overall, looks like Matthew White has had pretty much the most solid car. Of course, dominated this race a season ago. Then on on pit road, he had a speeding penalty that put him far behind. So we had, of course, that first really long green flag run. We had a decent green flag run to start off the second half. And then 2 back-to-back caution flags for the first time tonight. As we are coming down the front straightaway once again with Chandler and White on the front row. Back underway from Kentucky. Chandler actually does a great job on the outside lane. Dylan Banks now is the one that doesn't get going. Not a good start at all for that number 48. As they head back down into 1 and 2. You got Lindsay on the inside of Wilkin. You got Eli Tomlin back up to the outside as well. Havrilla sliding back in the line. He, of course, caused the other caution flag we had come out as they head down the back straightaway. Banks trying to get to the inside of his teammate Hilkutch in the 81. Another ETR car, that 20. 3 of them head through 3 and 4 inside of the top 5. Ooh, and the wall slightly is pacing Lindsay down the front straightaway. White got a great jump, so did Chandler. And now Chandler currently runs in second place, so shoes cone definitely working out in Cameron Chandler's favor as contact is made between the 20 of Prince and the 81 of Hilkutch teammates there down the front back straightaway. Pretty sure we're back live. Unfortunately, iRacing my internet was having a couple of issues. We should be back live here once again as Hilkutch goes up the racetrack. He's got the 20, his teammate. Oh, contact! Tomlin's in the wall down the back straightaway. Can everybody keep it off of him? Looks like they will. But now big damage for the 90 of Eli Tomlin as he rides the wall, heading back down to the 3 and 4. Back up front, Matthew White currently, of course, has the lead on Cameron Chandler. Then you got Dylan Banks third. These 3, I would assume, probably have the fastest cars. Hunsicker has been quiet once again all day. Currently runs 4th. You got Matt Grab to the inside of the 81 of Hilkutch down this back straightaway. Hilkutch to the inside of Mark Prince, his teammate. Up the racetrack goes the 81. The other ETR car, the 12 of Trenton Wilkie, goes down to the inside. So Ethan Chandler Racing has 4 of the top 8 cars right now. Dylan Banks, Mark Prince, the 81 of Hilkutch, and the 12 of Wilkin. Top 3 separated by about 0.2 of a second. I would say Dylan Banks has slightly the upper hand on Cameron Chandler on pace down the back stretch on the 3 and 4. Also a mess back here. 3 wide action. Cole Clausen's in the middle of it. You got William Reagan on the outside. Lucas Lewis and that 0 on the bottom, or on the top, I should say. It's all around chaos. Step back here, as it usually seems to be. 3 wide, maybe. Thinking about it for a second is Clausen on pace and Lindsay. Lindsay slides up into the door nearly of that 0 machine. Lewis to the inside for 12th. And there is Cole Clausen on the inside lane, 3 wide on pace and Lindsay and William Reagan as they go 3 by 3, heading down into 3 and 4. And back down the front straightaway yet again. Up front for the lead, Cameron Chandler challenging Matthew White. Braden Hunsicker starting to reel them in. So is Mark Prince and that number 53 of Matt Grab. So they're, of course, like we mentioned, all good to the end on fuel. So it's all push time now in Kentucky. This mess continues to rage on. They're about 18th on back. Here is that 09 to John Butler. Oh, Ashton Miller in the wall slightly. He has just kind of been falling back all day long. Showtime Motorsports, only car that really had any pace tonight was Ashton Miller, and now he's falling back to about 18th place. Three wide. John Butler to the inside of Rivera and Lindsay. Aggressive move by that 09. So come back to 25 laps to go in Kentucky this time by. Top 7 or so cars all in a group battling for the lead. Matthew White, of course, currently has it. Second place is Cameron Chandler, looking to sweep the weekend after winning the USA Xfinity Series race last night. Dylan Banks looking for his first one of the season. Your defending series champion currently runs 4th. for third. And then, of course, running fourth is that 77 of Braden Hunsicker. Here's Mark Prince with momentum down the front straightaway, currently running in fifth. Maybe to the outside is the 77 of Hunsicker on Dylan Banks, as now Banks makes his way to the inside of Cameron Chandler. Bit of a blink there for a second. Here is Hunsicker to the inside, a big dive into 3 and 4. Banks has momentum on the top, though. He's to the outside of the 8 of Chandler for second place. Dylan Banks looking to get it from Chandler. They make contact. Back down into 1 and 2 they go. That 48 of Dylan Banks looking to get momentum around Cameron Chandler. Chandler's got Hunsicker on his bumper, still side by side as they head back into 3 and 4. Banks should have the preferred lane, getting the momentum on the gas earlier. Through turns 3 and 4, carries the momentum off the corner exit, and he will be clear for second place. How about Mark Prince coming to the outside as well? He's to the top of that 8 of Cameron Chandler. There's the 77 of Hunsicker back there as well. Up the racetrack once again goes Hughes. Matt Grabs quietly waiting back in the wings. We know how good he is on the long runs. And possibly for the lead, Dylan Banks challenging Matthew White. Top 7, all under a blanket. And here we go for the lead. Banks on the outside of White. He's going to have to try to get momentum around this outside. Still side by side for third place. It is Hughes and Hunsicker. Breaking the draft down the back straightaway is Matthew White. He knows Dylan Banks is there and has momentum. Shades of the championship race in Kansas last season. Dylan Banks and Matthew White, I should say, battling for the lead. Become the lap 115. That will signal to... Oh! Braden Hunsicker way up the racetrack, gets loose, slides in 3 and 4, and he has damage on that 77. He's able to save it, possibly. He will officially save it, and that is going to be possibly having the pit is the 77 of Braden Hunsicker. How about Matt Grab? He's going to gain positions. He's up the P4 now down the front stretch. Watch out for him on the long run. 19 to go in Kentucky. Battle for the lead between Dylan Banks and Matthew White. Banks just trying to find some clean air on his nose. He is there, trying to get momentum as they head down the back straightaway. Banks to the outside. Bit of a loose moment for the 7 of White. He should have momentum coming down this front stretch. Banks still all over the back bumper of that 7 of Matthew White as they head back down into 1 and 2. Your defending series champion versus your season 1 Cup Series champion. Top 3 are all NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup or Xfinity Series champions. Way outside goes Dylan Banks. Momentum coming once again down this front straightaway. Maybe lost a bit of time. He's going to get to the bumper of the 7. Can't get to the outside. Cameron Chandler slowly but surely. Oh, loose moment by the 48. Trying to push, gets loose. As they head back down in the 3 and 4. Now Cameron Chandler looking to challenge that 48 of Banks. So once they get, again, they roll down the front straightaway. Top 3 separated by about a half second. As they head back down into 1 and 2. Yeah, that loose moment that he had definitely starting to affect his handling. To the inside for P4. Wilkin on Matt Grab. Trenton Wilkin having a solid, strong run here tonight in Kentucky. He is now 4th. Joins his teammate, Dylan Banks, inside of the top 4. Banks definitely now going to have to try to find some clean air on his nose. Maybe you want to cool down his tires a bit. Make another rebound at it with 15 to go. Matthew White, though, still has about a 0.4 of a second lead as they head down the back straightaway in the 3 and 4. 14 to go from Kentucky. I think it's a real good time to go to a really, really quick crank it up from Kentucky Speedway. And for second place, Cameron Chandler around the 88 of Dylan Banks. He is now P2. Big move to get around that number 48. And Cameron Chandler currently runs in second. He'll set his eyes on Matthew White with 12 laps to go, Kentucky. Possibly looking to have shades of Charlotte Season 3. Remember, these two had such an insane finish back in the Charlotte 600 a season ago, with Cameron Chandler ending up on top. Matthew White, the all-times wins leader in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series, is the 8th of Cameron Chandler in his first full-time year. Already has 3 wins, though, in his Cup career. And their defending series champion, the 48 of Dylan Banks. Then he got driver with multiple wins in the Xfinity Series, Trenton Wilkins, starting to challenge with these top 3. He's been running some of the fastest times on the racetrack. Top 4 drivers, all very, very accomplished in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx League. Multiple race wins and championships between them. Top 3 are all champions. First, 3rd Cup champion, 2nd, an Xfinity Series champion. And 4th, an Xfinity Series championship runner-up. 10 laps to go from Kentucky. Cameron Chandler hasn't really been running any faster times than Matthew White. Now this lap time by, it is White a bit faster by about now half a second over him. As they head back down into turns number 1 and 2. These 4 should all be contending for race wins all throughout the season. Throw in Matt Grab, Bryce Benton, Havrilla, Miller, everybody could be contending for a win. How about a great run here at the end of the race for Lucas Lewis? Was running about 20th to 18th all day long. Now currently runs in 9th. Battling with Giesbrecht, who's got a top 10 spot with Cole Clausen. For P3 between teammates, it is Dylan Banks and the 12 of Trenton Wilkins side by side. 8 laps to go. Into 1 and 2 they go. Dylan Banks starting to fall back on the longer run. You remember, was battling with Matthew White. Looked like he was going to be able to take the lead, but just got loose that one time, and that looks like it just killed all of his momentum. And really just not having the day he wanted after that. Back to 4th with Matt Grapp starting to challenge for P4. Seven to go. Cameron Chandler back to now about 3.5 tenths this time by. He's been running a bit quicker than Matthew White over the last couple of laps, but will he be able to find the clean air and make something happen? Ooh, bit of a bobble there off corner exit for Matthew White. Still about 4 tenths of a second as they head down the front straightaway. Trenton Wilkin coming on strong as of late. 6 to go, not sure if he'll have enough time. But a caution, you never know. A caution could change everything. Could always come out anytime. Matthew White just wants to keep it straight and green here for 5 more laps and take the white flag eventually to come home to the checkered flag. Cameron Chandler, he has had a solid day so far tonight. Running in 2nd, of course, but he's got Trenton Wilkins starting to battle on his bumper. Matthew White, though, has been all around the best race car. And he's looking to pick up his first win of the season. Ooh, bobble there for the 48 of Dylan Banks. 4 laps to go in Kentucky. Here for second, Wilkin to the inside of Cameron Chandler. What a run by this 12 of Trenton Wilkin in the final 4 laps here from Kentucky, battling for P2. This will ultimately ensure Matthew White to be able to pull away even more. Matt Grab up here battling as well. Wilkin has momentum down this front straightaway. Matthew White comes back to 3 laps to go. We go to Sonoma next week, which is a track Matthew White won at last season. A great opportunity to start the season back-to-back after finishing 18th in Daytona. Entered this race 7th in points. Cameron Chandler entered as your points leader. If he finishes 2nd tonight, he should most likely exit as your points leader, as well as part of the wall goes Wilkin as we come back to 2 laps to go. Wilkin has had a good run. He's currently in a podium position. Doesn't want to do anything to affect that. Matthew White just trying to bring it home to the white flag to make it official. Through turns 3 and 4 they go to the flag stand. White flag is waving. It is 1 lap to go for Matthew White. Final lap underway in Kentucky. By about 5/10 of a second, he has the lead. Second place, of course, Cameron Chandler battling with Trenton Wilkin. 4th, you can see Dylan Banks as they head down the back straightaway one last time. One final charge for Wilkin, possibly, as they head through 3 and 4. Matthew White, what a day for him. Overall, had the best car. He is going to exit turn 4 to see the checkered flag redemption from last season. Matthew White wins Kentucky for his 15th career Cup Series victory. Chandler comes home 2nd, Wilkin 3rd, Banks going to be 4th, holds off Matt Grab, who comes home 5th. Bryce Benton slams the wall, comes home P6. Miller, Havrilla, Clausen, Lewis round out your top 10. What a race in Kentucky. Matthew White, your winner. And he'll do the Aiden Donahue style slide into 3 and 4. Redemption from a season ago after dominating there. Career win in the Cup Series, number 15 for Matthew White, and it'll burn it down on the front straightaway. First win of the season. Cameron Chandler comes home 2nd. Of course, like we mentioned, entered this race as your points leader, so should most likely exit as it as well. As Matthew White did not score a whole lot of stage points, but he will definitely. This will definitely help out his points overall. Post-race interviews coming up here from Kentucky. The checkered flag has fallen. Matthew White, your winner. And you got to feel really good, like we mentioned earlier, going into Sonoma next week at a road course where he won last season. Season 1 Cup Series champion, has been to every single Cup Series championship 4. Gets his first win of the season. All right. So, of course, post-race interviews coming up here from Kentucky Speedway. Overall, a great showing. 2 incident cautions here tonight that went back-to-back. 3 cautions overall. And not a great finish. I just realized for Braden Hunsaker. Fell back, of course. He had that damage that when he was getting caught up in that crash with Bryce Benton. Will finish in 19th. And ultimately, not a great day for him. But we'll have post-race interviews coming up. Great rebound for Ashton Miller, though. Comes home 7th. As the only bright spot for Showtime Motorsports as they finished last here tonight for the 2nd straight week. All right. Post-race interviews coming up from Kentucky. As we will have interviews up first. Hopefully your winner, Matthew White. So, of course, Matthew White gets the job done here tonight. He, of course, is the all-time wins leader in the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series, his 15th career win. Nobody's really even that close to that. I think the closest driver has 11. That is Aiden Walker. Of course, retired NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series driver. And we'll have an interview with White just yet, but we're going to be starting off with second place finisher Cameron Chandler. Cameron Chandler, after winning the USA Speedway race in the Xfinity Series last night, you come home second for the second straight week in the Cup Series after finishing P2 in the Daytona 500. So a great consistent start to the season for you guys. Back-to-back P2 finishes. Overall, is there anything you might have had left in the tank to try to challenge Matthew White there at the end?
Yeah, so let me tell you this one. So we start off the race. I don't even know where we qualified, but we drove through the field. We got to Bryce Benton, and he decided he was gonna drive really hard, which is fine. We're on a racetrack. We're racing for position, but we killed our tires after that one. And then let me tell you, our I can't say that word. I might get Haley Deegan. But our stupid crew chief decided, oh, yeah, you're suddenly not going to make it on fuel. So we had to sit around the track, putting around at 130 miles an hour, waiting for the stage caution to come out. And let me tell you, Ethan Trembler fell asleep in the tower, and he didn't know how to throw the caution flag. So thankfully, the league gave me a nice little button I could press in my car whenever I want for a caution. Because we went around a whole extra lap, still no caution. So I smashed that button, had a punch the clutch in and coast the pit road. I saw people spitting out. People stopped in the track just from out of fuel. Everyone in the thing was screaming about how race control is awful, and I fully agree with them. And then we got lucky, came in the pit road as soon as it opened, and I don't even know what was going on. We had to send ourselves to the back, and then we had to do the same thing again. So Ethan Tremler, I am very angry with you, crew
All
chief.
right.
You built don't cut me off, crew chief. You built me a terrible car, both of you, the replacement and the actual. So 3 crew chiefs have been fired from TCMC, and miraculously we somehow came from the back and finished second.
All right. So, anyways, of course, that was coming to lap 68, not coming to lap 67. So we were right on
Yeah,
the
we
call
need to
there.
put you. No, we
Uh-huh.
need to put you back in preschool or
Maybe you
something.
should. Maybe you
learn
should read
simple
the.
math.
Maybe we should read the race day info.
No, you're learning new math.
No. All right. Anyways, so back-to-back second place finishes. Looking the stage here real quick. You guys came home without any stage points though, but it should, I would assume, still have the. You guys still should have the points lead. So overall, how are you feeling about these first 2 races going into the road course next week in Sonoma?
Yeah, thankfully, because we have an incredible Monster Energy Chevy, we were able to hold the points lead of these 2 second place finishes, and we're going to be avoiding hell at Sonoma next week and take a nice little unscheduled off break. I don't know who's going to fill this car, but yeah, Lucas, that's something you can figure out later. It ain't going to be me, but yeah, we're avoiding hell.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week in Sonoma.
I really want to call you words I can't. Lively's Custom Diecast, not official diecast producer FedEx Cups.
All right. So, anyways, coming up next here, post-race interview is going to be Trenton Wilkin comes home P3. So Trenton Wilkin, a very solid outing for you guys. It'll be P3 here tonight in Kentucky. So it looked like you guys on the longer run came on strong. And ultimately, how is it like driving up through the field and taking through those last about maybe 20, 25 or so laps where you were making up positions and driving up through the field to finish third ultimately?
I felt good, especially in the first half of the race. I don't know what happened. We just slid our tires too much. It was just way too hot. But I felt like we had a chance at the end. I felt like what it was with Blaney and Logano. There's no way I was going to pass the teammates. But honestly, how the day started, I felt good coming home with a P3 with it.
All right, so heading into, of course, Sonoma next week. So it's great points for you guys tonight. How do you guys think you're going to be able to adjust at a road course next week from Sonoma to ultimately try to do the same thing, or even better, maybe get the win there?
I feel good. Sonoma, I feel like it's one of our better road courses. A lot more of a tire wear with going over there with Sonoma, but hopefully we have a good race, get some good points. I know we have a long season ahead of us.
All right, well, nice job here finishing in third place on the podium, and we will see you next week from Sonoma Raceway.
All right, thank you.
Coming up next is going to be driver that finished in P6, Bryce Benson. Bryce Benson, in the first half of this race, you guys had amazing speed. You were battling up there for the lead, led some laps, ultimately looked very, very quick. And then, unfortunately, what happens between you and Braden Hunsicker to get together and get you guys spun around?
Yeah, it was just a mistake from him. He just got loose. I was mad at him for a sec, but then I realized it was a mistake, so I calmed down. But I was especially getting mad at the 20 because he kept running me up the track like every single corner. I was side by side with him, so I was really getting frustrated with him. I was about to wreck him, but I drove around him because he couldn't save tires. But yeah, I think definitely if we didn't get wrecked, we probably could have won the race because we were really good at saving tires the whole race, but unfortunately, just luck wasn't on our side tonight.
So you guys still drove all the way back to P6. So how good are you feeling knowing that your race car has a lot of speed and probably going to be contending for more race wins week in and week out?
Yeah, it was pretty good because, definitely gives me some confidence because now I know I can save tires pretty well because I did it pretty good all race here in Kentucky. But yeah, I think definitely we could contend for some race wins. I think we could definitely get it in Sonoma next week because it's a road course. So I think it'll definitely be possible to bring home a win in the next few races.
All right, well, nice job here on the bit of a rebound up into P6 here at the end at Kentucky, and we will see you next week on the road course in Sonoma.
Yep.
All right, up next is going to be your 8th place finisher, Connor Havrilla. Connor Havrilla, you guys kind of ran pretty decently all day long, but unfortunately, it looked like you and Cameron Chandler got together and that guy got you guys spun around. So take me through your perspective on that accident.
Yeah. I got bad exit off the corner, and he got good on. I tried to block that, and a little too late to it, unfortunately. But we recovered from that gladly. Got a top 10, so we'll take it.
All right, so how are you feeling about your situation? So P8 tonight. We're heading into Sonoma next week on the road course. How do you feel about that one coming up?
Definitely a wild card. I'm definitely not the best road racer. Definitely probably one of my weaker kinds of tracks, but we'll go out there and do the best we can with the car we got. Try to get some points and keep the ball rolling.
All right, well, nice job here on the run tonight, finishing top 10 P8 in Kentucky, and we will see you next week from Sonoma.
All right, thank you.
Up next, finishing 9th, is going to be Lucas Lewis. Lucas Lewis, early in the race, you guys are running about 15th to 16th. Then you guys kind of pumped it up there at the end. You ultimately will come home with a very solid 9th place finish, top 10 here from Kentucky. So what changes did you guys make to ultimately become faster on these longer runs and ultimately finish in 9th?
Apparently it's a change of manufacturers because in a Ford, I was terrible, but now I'm in a Chevy and I can actually now finish races. I honestly don't know. This Group 1001 car was pretty fast when it came to it. And once it got towards the night, I finally realized that the track was cool enough and I can just rip it and hopefully not burn the tires up. And I'm surprised I didn't burn the tires up.
All right, so we head to Sonoma next week. It's a road course, of course. How are you guys feeling about your road course package overall and speed there coming up next week on the road at Sonoma?
Hopefully it's good. I'm not really good of a road course racer, so there'll be a lot of practice for that race beforehand. But yeah, I can't wait. This was a good race. Thank you guys so much for putting this on, and I guess see you guys at Sonoma.
All right, well, nice job on the top 10 finish, and we will see you in Sonoma, California next Thursday. Coming up next is going to be Dylan Banks, who ultimately finished in 4th. Dylan Banks, pretty solid day all around for a defending series champion. You finish in P4 after getting passed by your teammate Wilkin there at the end. So you, of course, won the stage with great pit strategy, but it looked like you had more pace than Matthew White there with about 20 laps to go. And then you had that one loose moment. Is that ultimately what kind of killed your chance for the victory?
Yeah, it was 50-50 on that. It don't take much. It was really loose. A lot of guys were slipping and sliding, but all it takes is one slip, and you heat up that right rear, and it's hard to cool back down. But yeah, let Cam and Trenton go. No point in fighting. Especially Trenton. No point in fighting teammates. Just let him go. I mean, won the stage, got stage points, finished top 5. I mean, consistency is key all year. I hate that I missed a 500 last week. That sucks, but um, consistency is definitely key. You want to get everything you can out of it every week, but you don't want to wreck yourself or wreck anybody else doing so. So, just trying to be smart and get as many points and capitalize when I can. I think that's the goal all year long.
So, of course, coming up next week is Sonoma. So, how are you guys feeling about your chances there on the road?
Oh, Matthew White's going back to back. I mean, it's unless he gets in a wreck or whatever, he's the road course guy. Everybody knows. I'm I'm decent on road courses, not the best, but I'm gonna go out there and give it my all. No, I don't have their speed, but maybe they can get caught up in something or something. Anything can happen any race. Just gonna go in, get as many points as I can, and move on to the next week. I think that's gonna be the goal all year. Is just capitalize and get as many points, and put myself in position to win the race each week. I think that's gonna be the goal all year long.
All right, well, nice job, Dylan, coming home with a top 5 finish here at Kentucky, and we will see you in Sonoma, California next week.
Sounds good, buddy.
So, coming up next here is going to be Ashton Miller, who comes home P7. Ashton Miller, pretty good recovery there at the end of the race. So overall for your team Showtime Motorsports, not a very good day as Connor Asbell finishes last. Second last place finish in a row for your team, and then Smith all day didn't have a whole lot of pace. You guys will ultimately finish in 7th. So you made up a lot of positions towards the end there. So take me through your final maybe 10 or 15 laps.
Well, yeah, I was trying to get through the field, and I couldn't get past these guys, and I feel like I had a much stronger chance of actually catching the leaders, but yeah, it was a solid race for us, but it's kind of upsetting for Connor Asbell and Gary to ultimately end up getting wrecked, but it is what it is. I just wish it would have at least played out a little bit differently, because I feel like we would have had a shot at the win, honestly, if we weren't getting held up so much.
All right, but what is going to be your plan over these next few weeks? Of course, finishing 34th in the Daytona 500 was not ideal, finishing with 0 points. You got a decent points haul here tonight after finishing 7th in the race and then coming home with 7th in the stage as well. So what is going to be your plan over these next few weeks to get yourself into a more comfortable playoff situation?
Well, since our first road course of the week, the season's coming up, I'm just gonna start trying to get better at doing road courses, honestly. So, I think we're probably gonna our best shot of having a chance to win. I feel like is road courses. So, yeah, but good overall, good race. Just wish we weren't being held up so much, and we wish our teammates just didn't get screwed over there.
All right, well, nice job coming in with the top 10 finish here at Kentucky, and we will see you next week on the road in Sonoma. Up next, final few post-race interviews here tonight. It's going to be Cole Clausen who will come home P11. Cole Clausen, it was P10, I believe, last week at Daytona. It's P11 tonight, so similar finishes back-to-back weeks. Ultimately, it looked like you guys kind of started off the race running about maybe 14th to 16th. You ultimately will finish 11th, and kind of a quiet day for you guys, so take me through some of the highlights of your day.
Yeah, we had a very strange race, but let me tell you, I got a bone to pick with Connor Havrilla. So coming to the white flag, he just completely parks it right in front of me on the exit of turn 4. And yeah, that costed me 2 positions on the final lap. So really appreciate I really appreciate it, Harvilla. But yeah, that basically costed me. I mean, Miller, he was holding up Miller too. I mean, if your car is dead sideways, that probably means that you should get out of the way. But anyways, Kentucky, it's kind of a weird track. I mean, the setup, that we had, it just kind of evened everyone out. I think, like everyone was basically running the same speed, and it was really hard to pass. And honestly, it wasn't really that fun of a race. Just everyone was kind of just the same speed, honestly. But we'll take 11th. I mean, it's not the worst result, but going into a road course, I'm not too excited about it.
All right, so ultimately, what's going to be your plan over these weeks to try to get yourself in a comfortable point situation after finishing top 10 last week in the Daytona 500 and 11th here tonight? Just average results for you guys, but what's going to be your plan here to try to get yourself in a good points position?
Yeah, pretty much just try finish in the top 10 consistently. We were going to do that tonight, but some unfortunate circumstances happened. But going into Sonoma, I think it's going to be a real struggle because I'm not the best at road courses, and I don't even think I've ever ran Sonoma, but I do own the track. But yeah, it's just going to be a struggle there. Although I do not think a lot of people are going to be showing up because a lot of people don't own that track, so that could be a good thing. But we'll just take whatever results we can get. I mean, at the end of the day, our goal is just to get a win and make the playoffs. So if we can accomplish that, it'll be a successful season.
All right, well, nice job here on the still 11th place finish after losing a couple spots there at the end of the race, but we will see you next week at Sonoma.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coming on P12 was Zogan Giesbrecht. So Logan Giesbrecht, you guys will come home in P12 here tonight. So I glanced down at about maybe 15 to go. You guys were running inside of the top 10, battling for about maybe 8th on back. So ultimately, pretty solid day for you guys. So take me through some of the highlights of your day in that final green flag run.
Well, I'd like to start at the start of the race because that's kind of the genesis of I think how I did well tonight was from the start of the green flag. I just decided to conserve as much as possible, um, save as much fuel as possible, and it ended up working out in our favor. We finished P5 in the stage, but I also learned a lot for the second stage. And I think most of why I was more successful today is I just was more aggressive. I'm usually very conservative as a driver, but I just decided why not. So I was sending it a bit. Unfortunately, though, I did burn my tires a bit. I'll say that. And yeah, so I fell back a little bit. But overall, happy with our result. Got good stage points for once. And yeah, P12, not too bad in the points.
All right, so we're heading into a road course next week at Sonoma. So you guys in lobbies a year ago at this point, you guys have won a road course race there. So seems like you got some decent speed on road courses. So what do you guys think your expectations are at Sonoma?
Just well, it's a road course. It's a completely different thing. Kentucky is banked in a way that you can just send it in incredibly fast track. Sonoma's very different. I'm thinking just keep the tires on the car and keep it on the track, and that's all you really need. I don't think we're gonna have the speed to win, but I think we'll have the speed for maybe a top 10, some decent points.
All right, well, a nice job here on the 12th place finish in Kentucky, and we will see you next week on the road in Sonoma.
Thank you.
About 2 more interviews to go here. Next up is going to be Andrew Stacy came home 15th. So Andrew Stacy, it is P15 tonight. Ultimately, where you guys started after spinning around and being 2 laps down, it's still a pretty decent comeback for you guys. So what happened early in the race to get you guys spun 2 laps down, and then ultimately you guys recovered?
Flipping Lucas Lewis, drove straight. And I'm protesting the officials soon. They did not throw the caution, even though it was 2 cars, and then they threw a caution for a 1-car wreck. So I thought that was kind of weird, kind of funny. But we climbed our way back with the strategy. We saved till the halfway break. Some people lost fuel. They had to tow. That gave me a lucky dog, and we had a bit of a situation on that lucky dog. So I had to get back as I was on the lead lap, and then it was just slowly gaining positions from there. So a P15 finish is not bad for where we started and how it ended.
All right, so of course it's still going to be a kind of a tough situation for you guys in points. What do you think you guys are going to be able to do over these next few weeks at tracks like Sonoma, Atlanta, Fontana to try to get in a better point situation?
Well, I mean, definitely, I feel like I can get points at Sonoma, good points. Not a lot. I feel like not a lot of people are going to show up compared to these other tracks. I feel like it's guaranteed points. Same with Atlanta. I'm good at Atlanta. Got a 2nd place finish there, my second race in FedEx, and I definitely feel like after a few races, it can definitely have a chance to grab points and definitely make at least the top 12.
All right, well, still nice job here on the comeback, finishing in 15th tonight at Kentucky, and we'll see you in Sonoma next Thursday. Final interview of the night going to be Pace and Lindsay. Pace and Lindsay, ultimately not the best day for you guys. It's P16 here tonight at Kentucky. So ultimately, what was your speed like all day long, and ultimately, what was it like coming from P16?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we had like a top 10 car at best. I mean, we weren't super quick, but we got involved in that incident on the restart with, I believe it was Braden and Bryce when they spun down to the inside. We got a little bit of front end damage, but I didn't think it was too bad, so we stayed out and kept the track position, and it was plowing tight, and I barely could steer the car in the corners, so we just had to limp it home for P16, but could have been a lot worse of a day. Just happy we at least got points.
All right, so we're heading next week into, of course, a road course. It's Sonoma. So you guys entered tonight. Let me pull it up real quick. You guys entered tonight 11th in the standings, +4. So I believe you guys will be below the cut line, if I had to imagine. So what's going to be your plan next week from Sonoma to try to get back into the playoff picture?
Yeah, I think we just need to get stage points, because I'm not going to run good at Sonoma at all, but if we can be somewhat in the battle and maybe stay out when everyone else pits right before the stage ends, we can get a few stage points.
All right, well, nice job here on the race tonight. Unfortunately, it's only a P16 finish for you guys, but we will see you next week from Sonoma.
Yeah, thank you.
And that will do it here tonight for the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series Season Number 4 race from Kentucky. We hope you enjoyed that one tonight. So ultimately, pretty solid race, I would have to say, as Matthew picks up his 15th career Cup Series victory. And that'll do it for this week, as USA Speedway and Kentucky action is over. We hope you enjoyed here tonight. Join us next week for the NASCAR iRacing FedEx Cup Series in Sonoma, California on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, no Xfinity Series next week, so it is just Cup, the only event of next week. So we hope you enjoyed. We will see you next week from Sonoma. Good night from Kentucky.